This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
This is Let the Record Show, using common sense. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg and Chairman Jesse Garcia.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. With me is my esteemed colleague, co-host Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist. Jesse Garcia, the Vice Chair of the State Republican Party and Suffolk County Chair, is out today taking care of petitions. But we are honored and privileged to have one of the best United States Senators, a new member of the United States Senate, Dave McCormick. Dave is a graduate of West Point. He's a Ph.D. from Princeton, served as an Undersecretary of Commerce, Undersecretary of Treasury, a Deputy National Security Advisor, a Bronze Star hero, a wonderful United States Senator. Senator, welcome to Let the Record Show. We're delighted to have you here.
Judge, thank you so much. Good to be with you and Eric. Really appreciate you having me.
So I'm turning you over to Eric. I wish every good wish with that turnover.
So, Senator, thanks for being with us. You're truly a rising star in the Republican Party, and I'm proud to have been a supporter of yours from the beginning of your campaign.
Well, Eric, you were a great supporter, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your strong voice. And I don't know about one of the best senators, but I certainly can tell you I feel a huge sense of honor and privilege to be here, and to be the senator from Pennsylvania it truly is an opportunity of a lifetime. So I'm glad to be with you and glad to have the job.
Well, we want to ask you if you support the Pirates of the Phillies when they play. We'll keep that to this. We'll keep that under wraps for now. So as I'm looking, so it's Thursday afternoon, and I'm looking at the stock market at 340, and the Dow Jones is down 1,600 points. The S&P is down 264 points, all in response to the tariffs that Trump has announced yesterday. I'm just curious, understanding that the stock market is not the only barometer. I'm just curious, what is your response to people who are looking at their portfolios today and saying, "Oh my God"?
Yeah. Well, listen, I think we're sort of at the end of the chapter in terms of the first chapter of Trump's economic policy, which is tariffs. And there's a lot more we're going to learn about the tariffs as these negotiations take place. So I'll make 3 points. I know we don't have much time, but important to say first, if you're a business leader, if you're sitting here, you've got the tariffs, which create uncertainty, and then there's lots of certainty. There's certainty on huge, big deregulation coming. There's certainty on energy dominance. There's certainty that I think the tax cuts will be extended and made permanent. There's certainty on, a couple of $1 trillion of foreign investment. That's all wind at our back. And the tariffs are going to be choppy, and it's going to take a while to work through the implications of that and what it means for growth and so forth. So that's point one. Point two, the tariffs are designed to deal with a real problem. And it's a problem I saw on the campaign trail. It's a problem that we've had for decades, which is the free trade, which would be great if it was true, has not been free. It's been unfair trade for the United States. We've been taken advantage of. The worst of the worst is China, which has had access to our markets and blocked our access to their markets, has had tariffs, has subsidized its companies. But there's places throughout the world where that's been the case. And this is designed, and by the way, that the implication of that's gutted Pennsylvania manufacturing, small towns where I grew up. When I was a kid, the mill in my town, the carpet mill, had 2,000 workers. It now has 200. So what we're trying to do here is get fairness, and we're trying to ensure that manufacturing on a fair playing field can be competitive in Pennsylvania, United States. That's the goal. Now to what was rolled out yesterday. I think the issue is that there's still a lot of uncertainty about what it means. And with tariffs, I think the key here is if you're focused on reciprocity, you want your trading partner to know what it is that they're doing badly, what that tariff is, the behavior that tariff is trying to change, and what it takes to get out of the penalty box. And I think right now many of the countries that are our trading partners are trying to figure out the answers to those questions. I think that'll get sorted out hopefully in the days and weeks ahead. President Trump didn't run, I didn't run on the stock market. We ran on the real economy. And if we can get the real economy working for all Americans, create great jobs, the economy is going to grow, stock market's going to be fine. And so that's what I'd tell them. I'd say, let's not panic on day one. Let's see how things play out. And I'm worried, by the way, about some Pennsylvania companies. I'm tracking it closely. I'm going to be in close touch with the trading rep to make sure that that we're not doing damage to Pennsylvania and other countries across America. So I think we got to wait and see how this plays out.
So one of the important components that you mentioned was the tax cuts. It seems that the Senate and the House are slightly different places regarding how the tax cuts and the reconciliation package should be structured. One bill versus one big beautiful bill versus two bills. Where does that stand? Are the Senate and the House going to be able to get it together?
I think everybody's pretty aligned right now on one big beautiful bill, for better or for worse. I think it's one big beautiful bill. I think the Senate is working off the House budget resolution. I mean, it'll be the basis for where we start. I think big picture, it's going to be tough, by the way. This is not going to be easy to get there in reconciliation, but we've only been in reconciliation, only had the opportunity of reconciliation 4 times in the last 100 years, when there's been a Republican majority in the House and the Senate and in the White House. But I think there's a lot of agreement around we got to extend the tax cuts, make them permanent. I think there's a lot of agreement on the fact that we got to plus up the budget for the wall, for the border, and for our national defense. And I think there's a lot of agreement that we need to bend the cost curve. We need to stop our budget from growing and start to dramatically reduce the cost of our government. We have a $2 trillion annual deficit, $37 trillion of debt, $1 trillion of interest payments. That's not sustainable. So now we sort of have alignment on the big things. There's going to be a lot of wood to chop to get from that high-level agreement to a proposal that both parties can pass that's going to, keep the slim majorities that we have, particularly in the House. But I'm optimistic. President Trump's going to be a huge player in this. I think the things I just outlined are the priorities he's going to give both the Senate and the House, and I'm hopeful. This reconciliation is a real opportunity, and we ran on change. We ran on fiscal responsibility. We got to deliver.
So let's change topics for a second. I know that an important issue to you, and frankly to the entire country, is the issue of fentanyl. So you recently put on the floor or drafted the Joint Task Force to Counter Illicit Synthetic Narcotics Act of 2025. So the question I have, how does this legislation differ from past attempts to deal with the opioid fentanyl crisis, and why will it succeed where other efforts have failed?
Well, first, I don't think that there's been adequate focus and effort in the past. I think what happened under the previous administration and before that, but certainly the previous administration, was this huge wide open border crisis where we had, millions of illegal immigrants coming across our southern border, coming across our northern border, and new levels of fentanyl, which is highly, highly toxic and incredibly fatal, coming across too. And so we hit an all-time high of about 100,000 Americans dying a year, Eric, if you can believe it, 4,000 in Pennsylvania alone last year. So the crisis has just gotten worse and worse.
Just to put that in perspective, 50,000 Americans died in the Vietnam War. So that's two right. Vietnams every year.
2 Vietnams every year. It's just incredible. And so, President Trump said he was going to shut down the border and stop the flow of fentanyl. I mean, what's happened since you got to give him credit. We're at like 95% reduction in illegal immigrants coming across. But every time I hear that number, it makes me crazy that the Biden administration let that continue to happen. The second thing Trump did was he, through Marco Rubio, designated the cartels as terrorist organization, which allows us to use law enforcement much more forcefully. What my bill does is it essentially creates a joint task force. Lots of times when the law enforcement works on an issue, they work in silos. And we needed to create an integrated task force, DEA, ATF, FBI, the Border Patrol, dedicated leadership to the task force, and treat this is the national security crisis it is. Have transparency, accountability. This is co-sponsored by John Fetterman, my fellow senator here in Pennsylvania. He's a Democrat. I'm a Republican. We have agreed to find ways to work together, including on anti-Semitism in Israel and fentanyl. And this is a bill that's all focused on the supply side. We also have a lot to do on the demand side. We got to deal with the addiction problem. We got to deal with the reasons people turn to fentanyl. Often they don't even know they're taking it. When you talk to these fentanyl families, Eric, lost their beautiful children. I've got 6 daughters. It breaks my heart every time. It's like somebody ripped your heart out when you hear the stories. Most of the kids don't even know they're taking it. It's laced into marijuana or, uppers to keep them up while they're studying for their exams.
One of my neighbor's daughters took an Ambien that had fentanyl and killed her. 21-year-old, beautiful little girl. It's
a disgrace. So anyway, that's what the bill does, and it was my first bill, and I'm proud of it, and we're going to push it. And for the State of the Union, I had an opportunity to bring one guest. I brought Sheriff Jim Ott, who's the sheriff in Blair County, and he's been fighting this fentanyl fight for the last decade, and kept a lot of fentanyl out of Blair County, but couldn't keep it out of his house, and he lost a son. And you just hear these stories, and you say, "Man, we cannot tolerate this." So that's what I've been working on, among other things, and I'm really proud to push it forward.
So the designation of the cartels as terrorist organization, something I support. Does that envision the possibility of the use of military force?
It does for me. It opens up the legal mandate to do that. And listen, you'd love to do that in cooperation with the Mexican government, but the Mexican government is certainly corrupted to some degree by the cartels. And we know that we have incredible, very focused, targeted special operations capability, special drone capability. We know that the cartels have these huge manufacturing facilities across the border. And so I think that's one of the options the president should consider. If we can't stop it other ways, that we use our military in a very selective way to take out the cartels. And they should know that we have that capability and are willing to use it.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
In golf, precision is everything, on and off the course. PGA of America chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business for smooth operations and seamless transactions. Together, we enhance ticketing and concessions for better fan experiences from gate to green. This is pro-level efficiency. This is PGA of America with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at StitchFix.com.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin, and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Senator, I want to ask you this question because this troubles me, and I really do lose sleep on it. We've been watching for years and years and years appeasement of the Iranian regime. We've seen the Obama deal ratified again by the Biden folks. They're getting closer and closer to nuclear weaponry. And to me, that's a game changer in the world. not just in the Middle East, but in the entire world. If there is an Iranian regime who is a death cult, who believe in Islamist hegemony, and they have nuclear weapons, this is not mutually assured deterrence from the old Cold War. What are your thoughts on that, and what can we do about it?
Well, I think to start with the headline is a nuclear-armed Iran is intolerable, unacceptable. That cannot happen. This morning, just by chance, we had a number of hostage families and released hostages come in. Keith Siegel among them, along with his wife Aviva. And they told stories, and it's worth talking about for just a second. They told stories about being in the dungeons of Gaza, the literal torture. It's stuff that takes you back. It takes you back to the German encampments and what happened, the kind of torture that these prisoners were subjected to. Absolutely horrible. We still have 59 there, and the reason I say that is what you hear is pure evil in Hamas. You can't live 600 feet away from people who want to slit your throat in the middle of the night and think that that's a stable and acceptable situation. Well, it's a little bit that way with Iran. And we are at a unique moment because as a consequence of very effective operations by the Israelis, Hezbollah, Hamas, to a lesser degree the Houthis, but somewhat there too, have been largely reduced in terms of their effectiveness and military capability. And Iran has shown itself to really lost a lot of capability. And so we're at a decision point. Sometimes when someone's weak like that, that's when they become the most dangerous. And I would start with some basic principles, which is that a nuclear-armed Iran is unacceptable. I don't have all the intel on how close it is to a nuclear capability, but it's unacceptable. And I would treat any engagement, agreement, discussions with the Iranians with a deep sense of skepticism of the trustworthiness of anything they say, because, as you said, their explicit ideology, their raison d'etre, the reason they exist, that government, is to destroy Israel and the West to a lesser degree, but Israel. So,
well, they're the little Satan. We're the big Satan. We're the big Satan.
That's right. So, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm not optimistic that there's a peaceful resolution to this, although we should certainly seek one.
Which raises the question that Eric and I have been talking about, which is something has to be done. Trump keeps talking about having a deal and having safeguards. I'm very pessimistic about getting a deal because I think they just play you and just extend time until they get to what they want. That's the way they've played the game. They're very good at that. It's like being in the bazaar. They just delay until they get what they want. I'm very troubled by that. So the question becomes, and Eric and I have talked about this, who does what? That means I don't believe, and I don't think Eric believes, that Israel alone can do it by themselves. Yeah. They need some support from the United States. Now, whether it's the so-called bunker bombs, giving them the support to refuel, the flyover rights, whatever it is that they need, and let Israel do the job, or the United States goes hand in glove and makes a military operation jointly with the Israelis. But I'm afraid that we're not moving quickly and decisively enough. And unlike you, I'm not privy to inside information, intelligence information. But frankly, the other day I read something in the paper that the head of the national, not Mike Walsh, but Tulsi Gabbard said something, that the intelligence shows that they're not close to nuclear weapons. I don't trust our intelligence on that. They've gotten it wrong many times, and I'd rather be careful on this one than to assume facts, not evidence.
Well, I agree with you on the intelligence, if nothing, for no other reason than we all were completely surprised by the attack on October 7th. I mean, talk about an intelligence failure. We shouldn't be too confident in our intelligence. Listen, I share the same worries. I mean, the best I can say to you is, and I think I told you this, Eric, but I'm the chairman of the subcommittee for the Senate Foreign Relations on the Middle East and counterterrorism. In that capacity, I'm going to the Middle East in May. I'll be going to Israel. I'll be going to some other countries in the Gulf. Prior to that, I will be conducting a set of hearings on the very topic you raised, and the questions of what role the U.S. should play, the question of how to deal with the risk, the question of how close the Iranians are to nuclear capability, all very much on my mind, and I share your concern and skepticism.
Well, to that point, we should all remember that one night we went to bed and then woke up the next morning and Pakistan had a bomb. We were shocked. One night we went to bed and woke up the next morning and India had a bomb. We were shocked. One night we went to bed, woke up the next morning and North Korea had a bomb. We were shocked. Same thing with Iraq and Syria, and had the Israelis not taken out the nuclear capabilities, those two countries would have had a bomb as well. So to the point about we can't trust the intelligence, we certainly can't trust the intelligence, and frankly, any intelligence that says Iran is not close to a nuclear weapon, I just think is flat out wrong. I don't even think I'd have to see the intelligence to know that's the case, given all the years that they've been developing this nuclear capability. But what I want to ask you about is there's been reports that there have been significant naval movements, U.S. naval movements from Guam into the Indian Ocean. I assume it's Diego Garcia where we have a big base. You don't just go from Guam to the Indian Ocean for a vacation. They're there for a reason. Do you have any indication that we've been, first of all, are those reports correct that we're moving naval assets into the Indian Ocean? And if we are, I have to assume it's in preparation for an attack on Iran.
Honestly, Eric, I don't know. I mean, I will never BS you. I don't know the answer to that question, but so I won't respond. I wouldn't read too much into naval moves on naval operations, and the reason I say that is there's a whole set of reasoning why that might be the case. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but I honestly don't know the facts of that particular question.
Well, Senator, I want to thank you on behalf of Eric and myself. We've been listening to a great United States Senator, Dave McCormick of the state of Pennsylvania, a wonderful leader, a great patriot, a man with a great future in protecting America. We want to thank you for being on Let the Record Show today, and we look forward to having you back soon.
Great to be with you guys.
No
Bye-bye.
problem.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
This has been Let the Record Show with Eric Levine and myself, Judge Richard Weinberg, our co-host, Jesse Garcia, the vice chair of the state Republican Party, county chair of the Suffolk Party, has been busy taking care of petitioning for the June 24th statewide primaries. We look forward to having Jesse back with us next week, and we're going to have, thanks to the good efforts of our good friend Eric Levine, we'll be having another great surprise mystery guest, a leader of this great country, next week on Let the Record Show. God bless you, God bless your families, and, of course, God bless America.